Notre Dame is being forced to join a conference, but with the ACC effectively kicking them out, the only place that makes sense is the Big 12. But would we actually want them? This is Locked On Big 12.
You are Locked On Big 12, your daily podcast on the Big 12 Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome into Locked On Big 12. I'm Drake Toll from America's #1 Big 12 podcast, Locked On Big 12. Thank you for making this show your first listen every single day. We will start with Notre Dame joining the Big 12 Conference. It's the only thing that makes sense at this point in college football. And here's why it will happen. Then Kansas State, Iowa State, to even Baylor and Kansas declining bowl invites. They've done the unthinkable. They've done the Notre Dame, and it's hurting the Big 12 Conference. It's not a good look for the league. It dilutes the bowl system, and overall, there need to be harsher punishments than just a $500,000 fine. I'll explain more. And finally, BYU. I think one of the main reasons that the Cougars have been held out of the playground altogether, they've been told, hey, we're going to take your ball and you're going home, is due to religious discrimination. I just can't find another thing at this point, but that thing, religious hate, makes sense of why BYU is left out of these conversations because of faith. If you hit subscribe, I get to keep my job. Notre Dame to the Big 12 Conference. So we heard from the Notre Dame athletic director yesterday. He said, we did not appreciate the fact we were singled out repeatedly, and the ACC did permanent damage to its relationship with Notre Dame for the anti-Irish playoff politicking. This comes from their athletic director via the Dan Patrick Show. So instantly, Notre Dame also said, hey, we're going to have a press conference with our AD at noon on Tuesday. Everything has pointed to the Fighting Irish no longer wanting to be part of the ACC. Everything the ACC has done has pointed to telling the Fighting Irish, we do not value you. You are not, in our top revenue sport, a member of this league. Notre Dame has a great relationship historically, last couple decades with the ACC, playing a lot of their teams in their non-conference, since all 12 of their games are non-conference, and a great relationship because their basketball team, their baseball team, their bowling team, those are ACC member teams. With football not being in there, the ACC had but one choice. And when Jim Phillips spoke, the conference commissioner of the Atlantic Coast Conference, yesterday, he said, look, it is our responsibility to make sure that our 17, which is way too big, 17 members in football are loved more than Notre Dame because they're not one of those. And Notre Dame said, fine, we will, just like the bowl game, take our ball and go home. And from there, it's clear. Notre Dame has to join a conference. It secures you a clear path to the college football playoff. Next season, Notre Dame has little to no shot to build a resume that can get them into the college football playoff. They have little to no shot for the 2026 team to look at the college football playoff committee and say, hey, look what we've done. We have the resume. It's not going to happen. Their schedules are getting easier and easier because teams are refusing to play them. And if teams continue to refuse to play them, then Notre Dame is not going to have an opportunity to make the college football playoff next year. Wisconsin, below 500, missed a bowl game. Rice, Michigan State, below 500, missed a bowl game. Purdue, below 500, missed a bowl game. North Carolina, Navy, Miami, that's a good one, middle of the season. Boston College, below 500, missed a bowl game. SMU, who knows? Coin flip. Probably not going to be very good next year. Syracuse, Stanford, and then USC. They cannot build a resume out of that. They can. What are the odds that one of Miami, SMU, and USC are bad? Pretty high. Pretty high. Joining a conference establishes Notre Dame as a team that doesn't get to pick its own schedule, cherry pick the teams that it plays. And the Big 12 is the only spot that right now has a conference commissioner who will pull the trigger immediately. Notre Dame will increase its revenue in a conference, by the way. Now, when bowl season comes around and you have 2 or 3 teams in the college football playoff, because the Big 12 can also win by having Notre Dame, certainly that's a brand that will help the Big 12 conference. When the bowl season comes around, the Big 12 is going to get more money when that bowl pot comes together at the end of the year. Notre Dame adds from that. Notre Dame collects from that. And the TV deal the Big 12 would be able to secure with new partners like NBC and TNT and ESPN still there will give Notre Dame more money than what they're getting from NBC right now. Your strength of schedule goes up. You have stability for non-football sports. I haven't even talked about what this does for basketball at Notre Dame, which, by the way, what it would do is effectively destroy them in most of these non-football sports. The Big 12 is so good at volleyball. The Big 12 is so good at baseball and at softball. Texas Tech went to the national championship in softball too. Notre Dame's not going to walk into this league and start beating everybody. It's going to be an adjustment in any sport not named football, and it's probably an adjustment in football to actually playing a schedule that has tough games week in and week out. Just ask BYU at the end of their season with TCU, Cincinnati on the road, playing a really good Utah team, playing Texas Tech on the road. Notre Dame wouldn't be able to survive that. They couldn't survive that in their current format. This is going to build, a move like this is going to build an elevated national prestige for the Big 12. An increase in media value for the Big 12, an increase ultimately in media value for Notre Dame because of the relationship. The national footprint is way bigger. Notre Dame, similar to BYU, who people discount BYU, like, oh, it's in BYU. What do you mean? BYU has one of the biggest fan bases in the world because they're the flagship university of one of the fastest growing faiths in the world. Notre Dame's going to win by having BYU at their hip, though they don't want you to know that. The national footprint for both is expanded. The increased competitive strength is there for the Big 12 and for Notre Dame, and you've solidified the Big 12 as the third best conference in all of America. The Big 12 can bend over backward a little bit for Notre Dame. The ACC said we won't. The Big 10 is stuck with Fox. The SEC would never do this. It only makes sense, the Big 12 conference, and you cannot argue that 8-10 points I just gave you. It only makes sense the Big 12 conference is the landing spot for Notre Dame. And I really believe that's where we're headed in college football, is the Big 12. Brett Yormark, the businessman he is, has to get on the phone and say, hey, it's time. It's time. You're our guys. Coming up, Kansas State, Iowa State's giving a bowl game. Cowardly. Locked on Big 12. Today's show is brought to you by Omaha Steaks. Omaha Steaks have been a killer gift for me to give every house. See, here's the thing. I'm not good. When I was young, I would go to like a TJ Maxx or Marshall's or whatever, and I'd pick out a bunch of stuff and like put them in the stockings. Here's your present. I got you a lamp, candle. I don't have a lot of time for that. I'm not very good at that. Now I can just go to Omaha Steaks, put in my mom's address, and then shoot, there it goes. She gets a bunch of ribeyes. Awesome. She gets a bunch of twice baked potatoes. Great. Their sizzle all the way sale is elite. OmahaSteaks.com. 50% off site-wide. It gets even better. Locked On College listeners get an extra $35 off with code COLLEGE at checkout. Send it as the best gift ever. Your family, your friends, they're going to love it. If you order by 6 p.m. Eastern, it ships the same day. Save big. Gourmet gifts, holiday favorites, Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide during their sizzle all the way sale. Extra $35 off. Use promo code COLLEGE at checkout. Terms apply. See site for details. omahasteaks.com. Code COLLEGE at Omaha Steaks. Iowa State and Kansas State skipping bowl games. Can't happen. Cowardice. Cowardly. Coward. Like, I think Gene Taylor and Jamie Pollard have done good jobs for the universities that they are representing. Look, it's a lot harder to win in Manhattan, Kansas than it is in LA at USC. It should be. Like, it's tough to win in some of these locations in the Big 12. I've been to Ames, Iowa, and I personally think it's one of the coolest towns in America. The Ames Lager, intensely good. But you put yourself in the average 19-year-old shoes, and they're visiting Ames, Iowa versus Orlando, Florida, or Boca Raton, or Miami, right? And it's tough. I know it's tougher to recruit and to win there than it is other places. But they continue to do it. They continue to show why they are two athletic departments that should be feared because they're winning with less. Iowa State, Jamie Pollard told America, we don't have that much money. We are stopping revamping our wrestling facility. We're stopping building these buildings we had in the budget because we don't think they're in the budget anymore. And then the opportunity comes to make even more money to represent the Big 12 Conference as an 8-4 team with NFL caliber players in a bowl game. And both these schools say no. They say no. millions of dollars that are doled out by the games, that are doled out in TV contracts. The idea that these two schools can play one last game on national television where the country watches the Big 12, they have an opportunity to beat up on an SEC team or to beat up on Memphis. I don't give a rat's ass. That's right there for you. And Kansas State says no. Well, we don't have a coach. Iowa State says no. Well, we don't have a coach. I understand that a portion of both these teams, like Iowa State's lost 14. This is a Cyclone Larry 69 stat. 14 of its 18 active defensive backs. This is a team decimated by injury who lost its head coach. But you've still got seniors. There's still a left guard who probably isn't going to play in the NFL that would have had 4 more weeks with his guys. Would have had 4 more weeks with Rocco Becht. You're Kansas State. You are a top 25 roster in college football. One of the better quarterbacks in college football, or he should have been, in Avery Johnson. And you won 6 games. You secured it at the end to be a bowl team. And the second the bowl committee said, "Do you want to go?" You said no. And as much as you want to tell me, "Oh, well, we don't have a head coach," you do. Colin Klein is your head coach. You hired him immediately. Iowa State, we don't have a head coach. You do. You immediately went and got Jimmy Rogers. This is a chance. Listen to this. This is a chance for 15 practices with Jimmy Rogers or Colin Klein as your head coach. For the guys who want to stay. You don't have to implement the whole system. You don't have to confuse this. Heck, there are guys, half the roster at Kansas State already knows Colin Klein's system. This gives your brand new head coach an opportunity to hit the ground running as the football coach. Well, we could, but that takes their attention off the transfer portal, dog. We've heard it from coaches across the country. This is the portion of the year, this is the month where you just don't sleep. If you're a college football coach, you're spending half your day actually on the field trying to coach your team going to the playoff, going into the bowl game. And the other half of your day, you're trying to call every human available and ask them, "Do you want to transfer to my school?" That is what you've built right now. Unless you're Texas Tech and you've done the smart thing, you've done the right thing, and you have your football staff and then your effective recruiting staff, your transfer portal staff. And those guys split off around this time every year and say, "Hey, that was fun. We got you to the playoff. We're going to go find the next guys up for Texas Tech. Joey, if we need you, come close the deal." You can do that. You're allowed to do that. There's no rule against it if you're Iowa State and Kansas State. There's no rule against it if you're Baylor, you're Kansas, you're UCF. So the Big 12 responds to this by fining both universities $500,000 for failing to meet contractual obligations to the league's bowl partners, resulting in a significant avoidable financial loss. That's not enough. The Big 12 is going to lose far more than $500,000 by them not going to these bowl games. And I know that Iowa State doesn't want you. That $500,000 could have gone to a new freshman quarterback. I've talked to people, man. Texas Tech's doing something revolutionary. They're saying, "Hey, when Alabama only wants to give $200,000 to a high school kid, reason being is they're a high school kid, it's a bigger risk, Tech will give them $400,000 and sign one of the best high school recruiting classes in the country because they're the only ones who will pony up that kind of money." This is $500,000. Oh, that's a program-changing player. Maybe 2 of them. No, we're going to have to pay that to the conference because we didn't want to go to the bowl game. Oh, interesting. And now the Big 12 has not told us if the schools who are put together in this bowl conglomerate, if the schools that are put together in this, there's the pot that all the revenue from the bowls goes into, and it's divvied out amongst the member schools of the Big 12 conference. If Kansas State and Iowa State, Baylor, Kansas, UCF, if they'll get that, they shouldn't. They shouldn't. You could maybe make an excuse for UCF, for Baylor, for Kansas, saying, "Hey, they thought for a week, like they told their guys, pack it up, go home, our season's over," and they should have. They were 5-7. They didn't make a bowl game. If I'm the coaching staff, I'd say, "Hey, go on vacation, go to Cancun, go anywhere but here. I hate you. Leave." Like they're done. They're over it. They're not in the mood anymore. But these teams secured their spot in about 8-4. Well, decimated by injuries. Yeah, but you still won 8 games. This is creating a deficit the conference was scrambling to fill, and they couldn't fill it. You've lost practice time, 15 extra practices with your new head coaches. The fans, the alumni were so excited. We're going to a bowl game. Oh, no, we lost Matt Campbell. Oh, great, we got Jimmy Rogers. And we're going to a bowl game. Oh, we don't get to. It is bowl games in today's era. I get it. They don't matter for near as much as they did 10 years ago. But that kind of publicity, this PR, it's not going to hurt you. Oh, no, we went to a bowl game. We lost 24-17 against a middle-of-the-pack SEC team. Okay. Yeah, we shoot. We lost a really hard-fought game to NC State. Okay. That's not going to hurt you. It's not going to kill you. It's not going to kill you. You go and you play the games. You go and do what the conference asks you to do. What's in your contract. I think you're losing momentum. 9-4 Iowa State sounds way cooler than 8-4. Like, if I'm a recruit, is that the school I want to play for? And know that my senior year, you cut short my last game. You're further telling the bowl system that it doesn't matter. Bowls can help players get drafted. Hey, look at this receiver that had 200 yards. Not anymore, 0 yards. You and I will have the exact same amount of yards if you're a receiver for Iowa State this bowl season. It just feels like it lacks integrity. The decision feels like it lacks integrity. Regardless of your reasoning. We don't have a coach. We're decimated. That's not an excuse that I, as a college football fan, would want to hear. It's not. It's not. Coming up, BYU. Here's why they're tied to religion. Could be the reason they missed the college football playoff. This is Locked On Big 12. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is exactly where I go for the World Cup. I'm a soccer guy. You know me. And the World Cup is coming up. It's back to North America for the first time since 1994. 48 teams, the first time ever. Scotland's going to be there, I learned. Awesome. And with the Game Time app, I can go see games in LA or Dallas or wherever I want to go see the game. So the World Cup, it helps the ticket prices be realistic for me to actually go see the World Cup. I want to go see Croatia. I think they're on it, right? They are. Yeah. You have tickets locked within minutes. No confusion, no hunting for fine print. Take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets. Every match, concert, event with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the app, make an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Game Time. BYU was left out of the college football playoff, left out of the national conversation, and slapped in the face for the second year in a row due to it being the flagship university of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Is that a true statement? You tell me. Because the evidence that I look at now, what I see is happening to BYU goes further than just, they weren't good enough, or they're not in the SEC. All the way back to when BYU and Utah were rated just right next to each other by the College Football Playoff Committee 5 weeks ago. They loved Utah. They were all over Utah. And if Utah was 11-1 and had beaten BYU, they're certainly in the College Football Playoff. They kind of told us that. So why isn't BYU? Why do we get to use the words eye test? And it secretly means something deeper that is much worse. BYU has gone 22-4 the last 2 years. Any team that has won 20 or more games the last 2 seasons has made the College Football Playoff at least once. BYU has won double-digit games back-to-back years and not made the playoff in either campaign. And here's why. Here's why I think that's the case. Look at this. I have an energy drink. 300 milligrams of caffeine. 300 milligrams. Watch. Just take a sip of the energy drink. Do you understand? I talked to my family about it. I asked my family because I was so upset by this BYU situation. I said, I think that there's something about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints that doesn't get enough respect, and it's kind of used as this secret excuse buried deep down for why they can be discriminated against. And somebody I was talking to goes, people that can't drink caffeine? So that's it. You don't get it. You don't understand. There's an ignorance There's a lack of understanding. There is a lack of respect. There is this novelty that we put on the letters B, Y, and U that keeps them out of being in these legitimate conversations because people at the top find them illegitimate. There are strict rules in the Book of Mormon. There are strict rules in the Quran, in the Torah. There are strict rules for Catholics. Hey, Notre Dame. But we don't put novelty on that. No, it's just weird when BYU does it. Oh, and if they drink caffeine, they're going to hell. What? That's not, no. No. Look, boss, I told somebody, I was like, you understand, swig, this dirty soda thing, is one at Diet Coke. These are some of the biggest enterprises in Utah. You land the plane in Salt Lake and they go, Diet Coke? Like, you don't think that has caffeine, right? Like, it's right in front of you. A way to understand that these people aren't different or weird in the way that you're trying to make them out to be in the back of your brain that allows you to omit them from conversations at the top of college athletics. Oh, the eye test. Oh, they didn't have enough game control. That's weird. Had a better resume than Miami and Notre Dame. Like, even Scott Van Pelt was like, oh, I was looking. He said this on a show yesterday, on Monday. He said, I was looking and BYU has a better resume than Notre Dame and Miami. A little late there, Scott. You would say that. ESPN would say that the day after the committee releases its rankings. Look at the historical fan behavior, this anti-LDS. BYU fans and players repeatedly subjected to hateful, derogatory religious slurs and chants at stadiums like Cincinnati and Colorado and Arizona and Oregon and Stanford. And look, I really, as I started to sit down and think, could it be? Is there really some sort of religious discrimination or anti-LDS hate in the middle of this? And I found something that I didn't in my research for the show that I didn't know was a thing. The never again BYU mentality. I was reading an article that some analysts point to an alleged historical mentality among CFP powers that dates back to BYU's 1984 national championship. A feeling of never again BYU that seeks to protect the SEC and Big Ten elite dominance over perceived outsiders. You're not like us. We don't want you here. Never again, after 1984, will the little school like BYU be crowned national champions. This fluke can never happen again. If you look at the national championship list, national champions list since 1984, power conference, big brand. Never again, BYU. Why? What about the honor code? Like, Jake Retzlaff is going to play in the college football playoff and BYU is not. And it can bother you. You're allowed to be a little bit bothered by that. Like, they look at BYU and they say, oh, they can't play on Sundays. They have that honor code where the quarterback who's leading Tulane right now couldn't play for them. No Sunday practices. Campus lifestyle is different. They're not like the other universities. They're not like the other teams. There's no way that the religious school will travel, because we're looking at religious schools across the country like Valparaiso, and they don't travel. That fan base doesn't travel. We look at schools that have a higher standard, like Navy or Army, and then that fan base doesn't really travel quite as much. This is like, I wonder if the playoff committee knows that you send BYU to any stadium in America. Listen to this. This is where you bring a conversation to your water cooler and own that conversation. You send BYU to any stadium in America, including Hard Rock Stadium, the home of the Miami Hurricanes, and they will have more fans than the Miami Hurricanes. Dallas, LA, New York, Boston, and BYU will have more fans at each of those locations than Miami, as well as the heart of Miami and Hard Rock Stadium. The BYU fans would outnumber the Canes. They don't understand that. The committee doesn't understand that. There's a media disrespect. There's a brand disrespect. This newcomer, this lifeline was given to BYU. They've won 22 games. Their strength of record, it's an objective metric of quality, was better than Notre Dame and better than Miami. but subjectively, we decided to leave them out. 2 years, BYU's been a double-digit win team. And both years, the committee said, we don't care. We've been told to win the games. But when BYU did win the games, they were held out. And maybe a piece of this, too, is just the Big 12 being little brother. Maybe it's, it's just the little Big 12. Do you see Texas Tech could win a national championship this year? BYU in the NIL game is excelling, soaring, doing things that are revolutionary for the Big 12 conference. Yet the slap in the face, the continual slap in the face that this league gets, that the BYU Cougars get, there has to be something more than just we don't like you. And there is something more than we don't like you. It's because you're different. It's because we think, at least my friend told me, that you wear weird underwear. And I don't like weird underwear. So I'm holding you out. You don't get to play with us. This playground's not for you. You take your weird underwear that my friend told me about and you go home. And the fact that the ignorance, there's ignorance for people who have like doctorates, right? Or been athletic directors for years, the top of the sport. They just don't know. It's sad, man. It's really, really sad. So I'm sorry, BYU, that this is the world that college football has created for you. A world of religious discrimination. And it sucks hard. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what we do. Hopefully I'll figure it out. Don't make me commissioner. I wouldn't do very well. I have common sense. Maybe I would do well. This has been, it always will be, Locked On. Thanks for making it your first listen every single day. Dose Grande.